It would be a way of being able to say to somebody, if you have somebody coming with who's got dementia or some memory problems, what sort of thing do you do? Or are your staff aware of what dementia means?
I think communication is the most important thing for everything, really, and just making people aware of how somebody behaves if they've got early onset Alzheimer's or they've got some form of dementia.
I have people who would love to be able to go out shopping, etc., but they don't want to because they're scared, well, you know, if I go out there, will I get back home? You know, is there somebody there that's going to be able to put me safely on a bus or safely in a taxi? And that's really important, and that's part of the loneliness and the isolation that I see on a daily basis.
And she just kept going to the shop and then not realising how she got there. And people were fetching about because it run at local shop. But the thing is, isn't it, it's the worry then if she gets on bus to town, and then, you know, what happens then when she's in town and she's so disorientated and don't know her way back. But
people have a perception, they're not aware of people with dementia, and they tend to think, not that they're confused, that they're being awkward, maybe, when they're not, and they're not aware of what they're doing.
I do know that more and more, you know, things are being picked up by people in the community. One case recently, a gentleman, his only contact with the outside sort of world and his surroundings was in the bank, and the bank staff noticed a change in him, and that provided a useful sort of step up for him to get some more help and support, yeah. So that proved those, if we could improve those instances, if we could make that people a bit more aware, that might happen a little bit more often.
When I was out with my grandma before she was diagnosed and came into 24-hour care, that we'd be frequently out doing normal activities, out in the supermarket, out for cups of coffee, and those behaviours that I knew were part of her and that I accepted, that the other individuals around me could accept those in the same way, and that would have made her experience and my experience of going out and still being social much easier.
And there was a woman coming in, she was like really confused, but she didn't come up to the counter first. She was just wondering about the drinks, and I went up to her and I was like, "Oh, you alright?" And she like pushed me away at first a bit, like didn't want me there. So I was like, alright, I backed off a bit, and then she kept looking at drinks, and then it took her like 10 minutes to decide what she wanted. And then I went up again, I went, "Are you sure you're alright? Do you want any help?" And then next time she was so welcoming to me. She was like, yeah, have you got this, have you got that? And it like the different size, it made me think, oh, it could be anything.
We've met people that turned up quite confused as well, because they've been living on their own. They've surrounded by four walls, that they've kind of losing the purpose. It's almost like they're giving up in some ways. But coming to a social group, meeting sort of lots of similar age people, but also getting involved in different activities kind of helps improve their physical well-being and their emotional well-being as well.
Its aim is to try and encourage people who know about dementia, care about dementia and want to make a change, a positive change for the better. So we would be wanting to get involved with shops and businesses, solicitors, fire service, the police, all sorts of different organisations that have come together to support the principles of something about being a dementia-friendly city.
We were in a coffee bar, and Mum was very physically able, and she was having a coffee, but it was at a point when incontinence was becoming a problem. So my brother and myself were in a situation where Mum needed to visit the bathroom. We did so, and I was some time in there looking after Mum. And at the time there was a guy who was banging on the door, a member of public. And I got angry at the time. My brother was quite young and he was sat outside and didn't really have the confidence to say to this chap, my brother's in there with my mum's got dementia. So this guy got more and more frustrated. And at that point, and looking at it now in reflection, if a staff member or any of the staff members may have had a little bit of understanding that there is a situation going on with somebody who may have dementia, they may have a learning difficulty. There's just maybe something going on out of the ordinary from a person or persons in the coffee shop. The moment might not have been as stressful.
Awareness raising for anybody who's going to come in contact with the public is really crucial. So if Sheffield Dementia Alliance can support people to be more aware and more empathic towards people, and just having those little tools, you know, to be able to manage that when you come face to face with somebody, like being with them in their moment. They just need people to understand that, you know, this is just a period of life that they're going through. They're a person at the end of the day. You know, they're just experiencing something really bad that's absorbing them at that moment, and they just need somebody to say, are you okay? Do you know, can I help you?
It's just been a focal point sometimes for them to talk to. A friendly face, somebody said a smile's the same in any language. If you can do that, and it puts them at ease sometimes. They come in with all sorts of problems, and you don't know until they start saying they've had this problem, that problem, and don't know where to turn.
One of the things that we're doing is contacting local businesses, and we're going to be doing that with volunteers from the Alzheimer's Society, and they're going to be going and talking to them about how they approach people who might have dementia, might have memory issues, or anything really that can make them feel comfortable in the shop that they're in.
But to me, the most important part is that you're a witness, you're a presence, and that they could just come and sit down and chat, and not in a non-threatening way.
The great thing that the Sheffield Dementia Action Alliance are doing is starting a programme whereby staff members in shops, be it small shops, post offices, your butchers, your bakers, your local convenience store, all the way up to larger department stores and hopefully banks and other businesses. In fact, one day, all businesses or any place where there's members of public and interactions with members of the public. What we aim to do is to get a level of understanding, a basic understanding of dementia, what it is, the signs of it, so that if there are situations where somebody who has dementia or a family member are out together with somebody with dementia, they can be helped in the smallest of ways.
I think there's a lot of fear about dementia and the way people behave if they do something out of the ordinary. People are very nervous about that, and often it just calms their attitude towards people if they have that information and they know why somebody's behaving like that. And quite often they can relate it to somebody in their own family and say, oh yes, well that's, you know, I do know about that really, I've just not brought it into the workplace.
At least like if they knew how to approach a person with dementia and say like when somebody's in a difficult situation at that moment and you know they're being a bit confused or forgetful or anything like that, like at least if they were aware of how to approach that person or assist them, or like if they have to contact anybody of their family, like how to approach and, you know, get that kind of information out from them, would be great. It would help quite a lot of people, and a lot of people would be saved, I suppose, in that kind of environment at that moment. So yeah, it would be really great, and I think it will help a lot of people.
The work at Sheffield Dementia Action Alliance, I'm aware of the stuff that they're doing out at Woodhouse at the moment. That's great work. There is a extra care residence out there that I know is very involved with this work. I know they're trying to get into the local shops, local community, to make them aware of what is going on, that people may have dementia. Chances are certainly the local small independent shops probably already know these people, and they're already doing it because Mary's coming shopping here every day, and, you know, all right, she's getting a little bit forgetful now, but we can help her because we know she always has this and she always has that, and, you know, we can help her with that.
What we really need is general awareness of the condition, really, because, you know, although there are specific services set up in Sheffield, which is absolutely fantastic, and and those people are talking to each other. What you've not got is the general public being aware, and that will give families and even people that have first early stages the confidence to and the ability to continue with their lives, because they can, you know, that they can do that. And instead of being scared, my life's over, the more people that are aware, and that, you know, we've got more of a friendly society as well as dementia friendly, it's just going to help everyone in their confidence, really, and make everyone's life so much better quality, which is what we're all aiming for.
I think everybody needs to get on board with it. I mean, we jumped on it obviously because we were doing the on-ward pilot. So, but then you think, well, people who's just been diagnosed with dementia still going out shopping, they're still visiting our cafes and things. So, you know, why not? So it does need more people.
I think they do need that little bit extra help and support just to be safe, but still be part of society. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
That's taking a shop and a chippy and a local shop and a supermarket and a meadow, but it's actual street. I think that's the most vulnerable place, isn't it? When they're actually on the street itself or through town, or where there's nobody who's, there's only other people.
So somebody who's elderly, for example, may only go to a couple of places on the street. They may just go to newsagents one day a week. It may just be that they, you know, visit the chemist and pick up some meds once a week. And it's those people, the people that they're interacting with.
We've got in excess of 60 organisations now signed up, and the actual commitment that people have shown and the enthusiasm for wanting to make a difference with dementia has been immense, really. I do think that people are beginning to be more aware and understand, reduce stigma, and I've got all sorts of personal stories from their own families and from their friends. I do know that Hallam University are putting dementia on their curriculum, and that should be on there by September, so that would reach somewhere in the region of 37,000 people.
I think it will affect us all at some point. I don't think anyone will ever get away from either somebody in the family having it or them having it. So I think a big understanding, and that Sheffield is probably best practice for treatment in dementia and an understanding of dementia. The plan is that all GPs in Sheffield will become part of the Dementia Action Alliance, so they'll have a greater understanding. And then from there, I would probably contact the Dementia Alliance, but that's because I know they exist. And hopefully, maybe next year, everybody in Sheffield will know they exist. That's what you do. Keep talking about it. And then it don't go away. It stays up here for people.
And I think it's very, very important work that's going on. We're an ageing population. Dementia, unfortunately, probably will become more and more prevalent among society. So the sooner we act and sooner awareness is raised, the better.
Whether they've got dementia or they haven't, you never know. That's what I mean, you can't just tell by looking at someone. You have to at least say, oh, you're all right, to first see any signs.
I think Sheffield Dementia Action Alliance is really important, and we all need to get on board with that, because people visiting shops and the hospitals, which is quite a, you know, that can be a lengthy thing, hospitals, corner shops, banks, building societies, you name it in town, and more people, if more people are aware that somebody might need a little bit more time, a little bit more help, I think that's really, really important.
If it's a local shop and they know you and they do, and they can say, oh, they realise that difference. But if it's someone that's just wandering, what do you do? I know. And who approaches who?
I think we just need to really spread the word out there that there are organisations like the Alliance that are there, that are protecting people and helping lonely and vulnerable people who are sufferers of dementia.
It's about dignity, and we've got to remember that people with dementia are human beings, and they continue to be human beings. It's going to be a long journey to try and reach everybody in Sheffield, but we will, and we've already got a dedicated team of people who've joined the Alliance, and we're all trying to pull together as a community again to work together in the city. And the city's full of very wonderful people.
Maybe Sheffield Dementia Alliance could do that, you know, just bring it to everybody's forefront of the mind so that everybody's aware that there's some people who can feel quite lost. In all of our work, we know that partnership work is crucial. You've got to be working as a network, you've got to be working with other people. You've got to get the message out there to people that there is this support, because what we find is most people don't know what services are out there. So bringing people together, everybody who are passionate about supporting people with dementia, everybody who wants to do something to support families or the people who are experiencing dementia, it's so important that people come together, because Sheffield is a big city, but it's very much like a community in a village, and messages can get round, and it's usually word of mouth. So the more people that know about the Alliance, the better, really.